everybody, it is time for the 2016 summer reading wrap-up, which you knew because you can read the title of the video. Anyway, so part of the reason I have quite a huge list to get through today is because it was booktubeathon in July. This was the first time I've ever participated in any booktubeathon event, and it was so much fun. I did a couple of the videos and a few of the reading challenges. I did get through 7 books, and I'm just really excited. I'm definitely gonna be participating in these from now on. It was really fun. So in no particular order, these are the books I read. I read Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. Though this is the Junior Classics for Young Readers edition. I talked about this a little bit in my booktubeathon video, so I won't mention it too much, but it was really fun. I had never read this one before, and I'm really glad I did. It was good, and it made me really want to watch Treasure Planet, so I'm gonna have to buy that DVD. Another younger read, I did The BFG. This movie is coming out this summer. Actually, I think it might have just come out, actually. I haven't seen it yet, and I wanted to reread the book because this was one of my favorites as a kid. Now, I'll admit, I did end up skimming this one a little bit more than fully reading it. There were a few things where I am just now too old to enjoy, which I would be sad about if it didn't mean that I also got to enjoy a bunch of new content for adults, so it's fine. But this held the standard of a fun childhood book, and it is now just transitioning into the kind of thing where one day, if I ever have children, I will want to read this to them. Then we've got The Raven Cycle by Maggie Stiefvater. This is the Raven Boys. It's the first book in the Raven Cycle series. I thought this was fine. There's a lot of stuff I don't like about it. I hate Gansey. I just think he's such a tool, but I see room for improvement. And I realize that this is only the first book in the series, so the characters can still develop a lot and hopefully become people that I like. I did think it was okay. I give it like, a 3, but I'll probably continue the series. Then I read 1,000 Nights by E.K. Johnston, and this was beautiful. I mean, first of all, the cover is beautiful. This is one of those elusive standalone fantasy novels. It's very Arabian Nights, and I was super excited to read it, and it didn't disappoint. Even though this book was very slow-paced, it was done in a sort of dreamy romantic way, not in a dragging on and on sort of way. I mean, it's pretty short, so it can't drag on too much. My only complaint about this book was that the ending kind of attempted to include an action scene, but also keep the dream-like narration, so it just ended up falling a little bit flat for me. But it was still good. It wasn't by any means an anticlimax. It was a very satisfying read. This was just one of those books where the whole time I was reading it, I just enjoyed it. It was just a pleasurable experience the entire time. I will definitely be picking up more of E.K. Johnston. I was right, and then I doubted myself. I will definitely be picking up more of these books and probably giving this one a reread. Another novella I read was Wink Poppy Midnight. This is by April Genevieve Tuchulk? Oh, might be saying that wrong. So, I'm not gonna lie, I bought this book because the cover is fucking gorgeous and it totally drew me in. And I did enjoy it. I enjoyed it while I was reading it, but the more I thought about the book afterward, the less I liked it. So this is a mystery novel, and I really can't discuss anything because it's one of those books where literally even the tiniest detail would spoil the whole thing. But I just felt a little dissatisfied at the end. It's not one of those mysteries where it never reveals what happened. I hate those kind of mystery novels. The mystery's only satisfying if we get a conclusion. But this book sort of just ended. I didn't really feel like we got anywhere. It was just like, oh, we're done now. So I didn't really like that aspect of it, but like I said, I still enjoyed the process of reading it. So leaving behind the short books, I read this beast. This is Winter. It's the 4th book, or 5th book. It's the 4th official book in the Lunar Chronicles series, and it is the conclusion, though there's some short stories that take place after it. If you don't read the Lunar Chronicles, you definitely should. They're amazing. I've actually already read this, but my friend Samantha was reading it for the first time and I wanted to buddy read it with her and just give it a reread. As usual, it was amazing. Marissa Meyer's amazing. These books are amazing. They're great. Read them. Okay, I'm gonna try to speed things up because we got some comic books to get through, y'all. So I have got parts 1, 2, and 3 of Smoke and Bone, the Avatar comic. So even though these are 3 separate volumes, I'm just gonna talk about them as one thing because they do go together as one cohesive story. I didn't like these. Avatar: The Last Airbender is my all-time favorite TV show. I love it. But they keep making more and more content for it, like in the comic books and spin-off series and movies we pretend don't exist. And I wish they would just stop because it's getting to a point where they're sort of tarnishing how wonderful the original series was. There were some things in this that I did enjoy and some additional lore to the spirit world, but they're starting to mess with how the show ended and changing character relationships. And it's not the original writers of the TV show anymore, so I think I'm gonna be done with these comics unless somebody tells me that the next publication is like brilliant and totally worth reading. I'm probably just gonna go ahead and be finished with the comic books and just remember the TV show for the brilliantly written, wonderful thing that it is. I also have Miss Marvel Volume 4. This one is Last Days, and it was a little bit weird. It's definitely just a setup for a coming story, so I didn't really feel like very much actually happened in this volume. But I love Miss Marvel, and it's a good enough story where I am totally willing to just consume some filler content because it's super good. As usual, the artwork was fun, the humor was on point. Kamala is like so just real and awkward and endearing, and I love her and I can't wait to continue with her story. Then I read Jonathan Luna and Sarah Vaughan's Alex and Ada Volume 1. So this is Volume 1 of 3, and I was instantly intrigued by the fact that there's only 3 volumes because that's so short, and that means that it's gonna be like really heavy and plot intensive, which is the kind of thing I love. I love miniseries on TVs, and this is like a miniseries for comic books. And let me tell ya, this did not disappoint. It was such a good first volume. It left me with just enough of a satisfaction that I felt like I did read a complete thing, but so many questions for the next 2. I'm really excited. The only reason I haven't already purchased and read the next 2 is because I haven't started my new job yet, which means I'm poor. But I am very intrigued. If you like sci-fi and robots, but are a little tired of robots who are taking over the world, this is perfect. It's literally everything I hoped for and more. Definitely read Alex and Ada. Speaking of brilliant comic books, I read Saga Volumes 4, 5, and 6 because you can't read these one at a time. You have to binge them. Volumes 4 through 6 were really good. I don't like them as much as I enjoyed the first 3, but they're going somewhere very interesting, and we're getting introduced to a lot of new characters, and I'm really worried about a certain prince and offspring. God, it's so hard to talk about a 4, 5, and 6 volume without totally spoiling the first 3. Okay, so if you haven't read the first 3 volumes, just like don't listen while I'm holding these up, okay? I am so nervous about whether or not the prince and his son are gonna be okay. I don't trust that the will has like gone crazy. I just want him and Sophie to like have a happy little family, and I love Sophie so much, and I'm really worried about whether or not she's gonna grow up okay. I'm intrigued by the fact that they're having another baby because I feel like Hazel is already like so much to handle with these global consequences. I'm so anxious while reading these all the time, but I love how anxious it makes me. Okay, you're safe. Spoilers over. Not gonna say any more spoilers. I am just gonna say, if you haven't been reading Saga, you definitely should. There's 6 volumes out, which means you have a bunch to binge read. They're just fun and diverse and clever and heart-wrenching and heartwarming, and I don't know, there's something just important about them. Do you know what I mean? It just, they're important. Then moving on to a graphic novel, I read Anya's Ghost, which was so good. And it was so good. It was way more dark and twisted than I was expecting, which was a pleasant surprise. I don't want to spoil anything, but if you haven't read this yet, I definitely suggest you do. I also think it's a really good recommendation for people who haven't gotten into the world of comics and graphic novels yet, and you might be a little like, oh, where do I start? Because while this is a graphic novel and it has really great artwork, it's not too comic-y. There aren't a lot of references or gimmicks, and I think it's the kind of thing that even if you have zero knowledge of the comic book world, you can still pick this up and completely enjoy it. I will definitely be reading more of Vera Brosgol's work. I am so hooked. This was amazing. 5 out of 5 stars, give it a read. And the last one I'm gonna mention is Anti-Goddess, the first book in the series. I don't have this one to hold up because I borrowed it from a friend, but it's by Kendar Blake, and it's a Greek mythology kind of retelling. I don't want to say it's truly a retelling because it's set in the modern age, but we are dealing with the events of the Iliad. This was a really fun read to sort of figure out like which modern day people are going to be revealed as characters from the Iliad. But I didn't think it was super well executed. That might just be because I am a huge Greek mythology buff, and I'm definitely the type of person who's going to notice when you do things incorrectly or pick interpretations of Greek mythology that I don't like as much, because there are a lot of different versions of the same stories with Greek mythology. And I didn't really like some of the versions she chose, especially for Aphrodite. But I'm interested. I think that this series has potential to go somewhere really cool. The monsters she did are amazing, and I think it can be good. I think right now she's gone a little too much of like, oh, I'm Athena and I'm a tough chick. That means that I don't know how to be kind because strong women are mean. But similar to what I said for the Raven Boys, I recognize that it's a first book in a series, and a lot of times the first book in the series is the worst book in the series. So if that is her worst book, they're gonna get way better. And that's it. That is my summer reading wrap up. If you have any recommendations, you think, hey, if you liked this, you should read this, definitely tell me in the comments below. Or if you just want to talk about any of these books, because obviously I love talking about books. I'll also put a link to my Goodreads page in the description, so if you want to do more review stuff with me, you can. And with that, I hope you had a good summer reading. I hope that you also participated in booktubeathon, and if you didn't, that you'll participate in the coming one in winter. And I will see you next time.